Ladies and gentlemen of the crypto space, we're live on a Thursday, October 21st at 12:21 p.m. A little late today. Had a little interesting work that needed my attention, but I've carved out some time for the family, for us to figure out what the heck's going on. So it's a topic that we know all too well. It's the disintermediation of financial services, and I think what made me think of this topic today was encountering some normies, legacy folk. Like, what's the purpose of crypto? Is it you don't even need it? And then you had crypto folks saying, what's the purpose of internet? Like, what's the purpose of the fax machine? You had Pony Express, and you could send registered mail. What's the purpose of the cell phone when you have, or the telephone when you have telegraph? What's the purpose of internet? Is the best one of them all. So, what's the purpose of crypto? I don't need anyone really to tell me anymore the purpose of crypto because we've experienced it for years. And maybe that's the only way you can have a normie or a person of legacy finance really appreciate what it is to actually engross themselves in it. Just put themselves into it and digest it and experience it. And then you start to think of thoughts like where we are in this transition or this evolution of technology. And the thought that came to my mind a while ago was the notion of disintermediation of this legacy tech. So now, the stuff that's being built, Curve is a Forex market, Aave is a bank. It doesn't just disintermediate tech. So where are we? We're basically at the point where this tech is proving itself. It's being stress tested. This is all experimental. And it's being hardened and solidified. Uh, whether it disintermediates legacy tech, I think, is more of a when than an if. But for legacy tech, which is entrenched, it needs to allow itself to be disintermediated. So that's another story. The when is a complicated phenomena because it's going up against ancient systems, politically affiliated and intertwined systems, commercial banking systems, so on and so forth, Forex markets. So, my thought of how that plays out is probably not an existing company like Travelex saying, all right, let's get liquidity from the general public. That doesn't make any sense. But the way I see that playing out is probably a new company that says, all right, let's make some money. Let's compete with Travelex. We have $50 billion and we're going to roll out a global Forex market. Where are we going to get the liquidity? Okay, let's use these systems. Let's get it from the general public. Let's use these AMMs and let's use this new technology. And why? Maybe it'll cut technology expense, DevOps expense down 90% as compared to Travelex. So now this new company is able to compete against Travelex. It's able to make more revenue, and it allows the general public to participate from a liquidity perspective. So it itself, this new company itself, doesn't have to come up with all the liquidity requirements to facilitate international transactions of a scale that it wants to achieve. So now it distributes the burden of the financial requirements for business operations. So this is what I've been thinking about more and more lately of where we are in this whole process. And I still think it's very much these systems proving themselves. And the added benefit, as I mentioned in the description of this stream, as I think briefly in the Twitter post as well, was that is the financial primitives that we see having had been and still being and probably will be created over time. These primitives are novel. We got these stable coins, we got these DAO assets, we got these utility features, profit share, revenue share, it has all the components of traditional securities and equities as well as fiat with a stabilized unit of account, the number one. It's a stabilized unit of account. That's why the dollar is so popular. REITs, dividend-bearing instruments, all rolled into one. And there we get into like rebasing assets, ohm and time, and those have characteristics of of commercial banking and central bank reserve assets. So that's the play that was created there, that was programmed into those protocols. None of this stuff has ever been done before, and all I know is that that's the place to be. So this was a not the most long-winded intro I've done, but it's some of the stuff I've been thinking about. How does it all piece together? What does it all mean? And all I know is if this shit is doing what it's doing, this is where I want my capital to be, baby. There is nothing interesting whatsoever about legacy financial tech. I mean, seriously, is it not the most boring shit you've ever heard of? Oh, I'm going to buy an ETF today. What's contained in the ETF? A bunch of stocks. Oh, okay, that's cool. What's contained in the other ETF? A bunch of stocks. Oh, what are you doing today over there at your company over there? I'm working with an ETF. Well, what does it do? Oh, it's got a bunch of stocks. And holy fucking shit! Well, that's the best they come up with is an ETF filled with a bunch of stocks. Like, are they are they handicapped? Is something wrong with those people? Like that's their method of creating something new? I think they're mentally handicapped. Let's break it over to the main screen and see who's in the stream today. I know we're a little light on folks, but I'm happy to get to your questions. More lobbies in the house, a pleasure. Alexander, good morning. Check out the new Popsicle Finance Medium post published just now. Fragola with stealth launch this week. Looking forward to it. I have a very nice ICE position. Let's take a look at ICE. I bought ICE at $3. It's not even on this chart. What is this? Wrapped AVEX, but it's calculated. So I bought my ICE position down to $3. It's at $30. Already a 10x on ICE and it hasn't even launched. That's crazy. Let's pull up ICE though with a little bit of history and see where we are. So it reminds me of the spell price action. So it obviously had reasons for its price action to dip down and stay down. But I think somewhere around here, this congestion region was where I decided to take an entry. And this has been extraordinary. This is all, we're talking 30 to $50 in the short term. And there's no reason this can't go higher, especially if it starts generating revenue as a utility asset. Spell just looks ridiculous. I'm absolutely surprised after all this price action here. Such an incredible region of price action. And it's not even that volatile. Like in the history of crypto and volatile assets, yeah, sure, the spread between peak to trough is 50%. But look where it's come from. I mean, this is price action, price realization, price discovery. It's up here and it was down here. This is a heck of a region. That's extraordinary. 55%. I don't even think that's volatile, in my opinion. Hasn't come down. It's held the 10 SMA as support on the daily this entire time. That's just naughty. I look forward to where this goes. This has become my largest play. Very exciting. Very exciting. Mr. Weeby's in the house. James, network marketing. Kyle, Noah, do you use a hardware wallet? Which one? Ledger device is the only one that really makes sense. Right about now, it's the most robust, most advanced, and Ledger Live. I don't see any reason to really use anything else right about now. Brian, good morning. Network marketing. They are okay. Yes, indeed. Dan, I guess that explains why you're not interested in Index Coop. or, I mean, I like Power Index. So I'll give them this because this is an index. This is, an ETF of sorts, but of productive assets. So this is the only index or ETF that is good. That's interesting. Everyone else is full of shit. I can't stand the notion of a basket of assets to reduced risk or spread volatility. That's just some weak means or weak way of attacking a market. I mean, if you're going to attack a market, attack the shit out of the market. Hit it hard. Understand the products that you're interacting with. In which case, you have no need to diversify into an index fund. No, you buy some good stuff. And you make a difference in your life by making the right choices. Um, we are the autistic. Yes, I certainly have my tendencies. Spell worth $1. I don't know about $1, but they got some good memeage around $1. I mean, that'd be crazy. I think I'd sell a little bit if it went to $1. How do you think Spell and Ice will do during a bear market? I do not speculate. I operate in the current market. I think that when a bear market comes around, I look forward to see how these assets will perform. Are you afraid that during a bear market, assets will go down in price? Assets go up and down in price during bull markets. What is a bear market? Is it just constantly going down in price? Does the price of an asset matter if it generates revenue, weekly revenue? And these are the questions I ask myself. This market is overwhelmingly different than past markets. There was no reason for capital to stay in the crypto space in years past. Now there's literally no reason for it to leave. If the stablecoins are staying on the sidelines during whatever the hell a bear market is, it's going to jump into an asset that's paying 30% on the money. It's going to jump into another asset that's now paying 35% because of opportunity cost. And the capital is going to flow. The assets are going to swap. The Forex markets are going to burr. The transaction fees are going to accumulate. And we're going to capture the crap out of those transaction fees. So bear market, bull market, this is a very different market than even legacy financial markets. There is no yield. REITs are dead. They're useless. Big O cranking out 5%, 4 and change percent on its money is negative real interest because of CPI. It's useless. The entire legacy stock market is dead. Worthless assets that don't provide any utility. That's not what exists in the DeFi space. This is some unprecedented shit going on right now, boys and girls. Network marketing, naughty. Yeah, we got them naughty markets. Red rum. I have a small amount of spell on Arbitrum, like 3,000. I like to stake them, but I don't know what to do because of Ethereum gas fees. Yeah, with 3,000, you're not really going to be able to stake them. Here's the complexity. There's a lot of folks that have smaller portfolios that are buying assets that are highly volatile, that have the potential to asymmetrically appreciate. But I've learned that the mindset of trying to turn $1,000 into $1,000,000 will not work. Trying to do that doesn't work. The first thing you need to learn how to do is save and accumulate and DCA. Okay, if you want to pick not Bitcoin or not Ethereum to DCA, and you have like $1,000 worth of something, spend the next 2-3 years DCAing the shit out of something. I mean, if you're making like 50 grand a year, literally put in half your paycheck DCAing the crap out of something. But find conviction, pick something, pick a time horizon that say 3 to 5 year time horizon. If you're DCAing spell for the next 3 to 5 years, something interesting is going to happen in 3 to 5 years because the odds are not much interesting is going to come off of $1,000. Listen, if spell goes to $1, you're turning $1,000 into $50,000. That's not going to change anyone's life. It's just being honest. But if you're DCAing and accumulating a larger position, and you're really thinking of time horizons and strategy and structure, and you're learning, teaching yourself how to spend less than you make, that's, I think, probably the most important thing I've learned over the years. So I've been in the crypto space many years, and there was times where I wasn't moving enough capital into the crypto space, and there was times where I really didn't think about, savings and DCA, dollar cost averaging, the way I do today. And obviously, I'm fortunate enough to not be in that situation, but I could have handled it much better. And a lot of my realizations and financial management ideology come from hindsight of how I could have done better. I could have done better, but I didn't. And that's okay because things luckily turned out well. Sorry, that was a bit of a digression, and I hate telling people that, the hard hitting truth, spend less than you make. I mean, is that really hard hitting? And DCA, accumulate assets. And I know it's hard hitting that $1,000, you're not really going to get anywhere. That's going to take a long time. $1,000, you need 100x and then another 100x. And then you're still a tiny fish in the pool. If you turn $100,000 into 10 million, you're still tiny in the big grand scheme of things. Go figure. There's so many whales out there that are rolling around with 9 figures. It's really scary. Anyway, Derek, thanks, Noah. Have you seen any data that would show what the price of Spell will be if it corrects? Corrects to where? I really want to allocate to it, but I don't want to chase overpay. If it corrects, you're looking at price action regions of support. This is a heck of a region for it to correct to. I think it sticks around the 10 SMA. I don't think it breaks down from here. But if it corrects, you're talking about 0.3 cents, 0.0036, 0.0033 would be a heck of a buy. And dare it go down lower, you're talking about a tenth of a penny. So you had 1.9 cents. You're talking about a massive collapse. If it collapses this far here, you're not talking about just trading. That'd be an 83% correction down there, and a 95. You're talking about a failure of the narrative, because this isn't an ICO. This isn't some shit where some company raised money to build something and they never build it. That's the failure of the narrative. This is a product that has $3 billion in TVL and is growing, growing, and growing. It's the antithesis of a failure. It's a raging success. So for a 95% correction to occur where we are, it would be a failure, or even an 85% correction. Price action will not take us down there. If it does, it'd be a mean regression. And you'd have a wick right off the 50 SMA that's massive. You'd have like a 30% wick right off the 50 SMA because the narrative is still intact. People will see this as a discount for purchase, and it'll be one of these giant wicks, like this wick you see right here, a giant wick right off the 50 SMA. Maybe it's a horrible deflationary impulse. It'll be a wick off the 100 SMA. But that's the way that plays out. You don't get 95% regressions unless there's a serious narrative failure. Adam, hey, a pleasure. Joe, Yeti looks like a decent index. Yeah, they're cool. All these are cool, man. Look, Yearn Lazy Ape. We talked about this a while back, YLA. And this is Yearn's yield bearing. USDN cranking out 98%. That's obviously what it's applied to right about now. I'm surprised if they haven't switched to convex yet. But they're all pretty cool. Their development has been what it's been, but the products have been stable and functional, which is that's always nice when a protocol builds something that doesn't experience any issues and it works and lives up to expectations. Look at ASCII cranking out 45% return, an index of yield bearing assets that are either just base APY from the component assets or incentivized with CVP. Anyway, I don't own any, but I remember them playing with them, so they're meaningful. Spell with market cap of ADA equals $1. That'd be fascinating. Spell with market cap of ADA, and I'm going to get some better webcam streaming equipment. um, Thoughts on the Rook CVX play? That'd be a big deal. They got 100 mil in treasury that they're trying to figure out what to do with. I don't know what they're going to do with it. Rook's cool. I like Rook. I'm a very conservative trader, and I rather have larger positions than small. And I don't have really capital to carve out right now because I don't want to allocate from something outperforming to something that has yet to perform. So, could you imagine me taking a spell bag, cutting it in a quarter, and applying it to Rook? No. Rook hasn't performed. Capital flows from underperforming to outperforming. This is the outperforming asset. Now, Rook obviously has a solid narrative and has a capacity to outperform. This also has to do with risk tolerances because you want to apply value to a company or a protocol prior to it outperforming. That's when you get the biggest bang for your buck. You want to be early, and then it starts to outperform, and oh, here comes the capital. Capital always flows in when something starts outperforming. So if I had a speculative amount of capital set aside for investment, value allocation, Rook's a good place to put it. I mean, they are commanding a $100 million treasury. There's very few protocols in the DeFi space that are commanding such a treasury that have yet to, I would say, fully achieve what they're capable of achieving. So I think they're undervalued, but that doesn't mean much to me. Even if I think they're undervalued, it doesn't mean I have to own everything I want to own. And this is a perfect example of that situation where I don't own something I would like to own. Adam, about hardware wallets, isn't Ledger a closed source? I also use Ledger, but would choose Treasure if I was buying again. Yes, indeedy, there's many hardware wallets to choose from. Um, where'd it go? Damn it. Here, crypto bets. Did you save your $8 today? Oh, Mr. Gensler, thank you for giving me the ability to save $8 a day till I'm 30,000 years old. I appreciate it. Good old Gary. Should I keep building my CVX CRV position or start a keeper position? Very hard decisions. I sure as hell don't have the answers. Folks, don't come to this channel looking for answers from me. I don't have any answers. All I have is my big mouth that likes to talk about all the shit that we've gone through. Shish, that's just naughty. Needs to go on the Noah soundboard. That's just naughty. Ooh, that's naughty. I sold an NFT for a few Ethereum and added it to my CVX CRV position. Felt good. Yay! It's nice to get a good win. I wouldn't mind selling a couple of NFTs for some profit. But the problem is, the NFTs that I have, I would really have to sell them for a significant profit. Otherwise, I kind of want them all. So it's not going to be easy for someone to buy my NFTs from me. Rejected. Hey, Noah, any plans of a Lambo one day? Nah, nah. I like those Ursus. They're nice, the Lambo trucks. But I'm a Tesla guy or an electric. I don't mind like the Porsche. Or is it the Tachyon? Um, I mean, Audi and Jaguar have nice electric trucks, but not anytime soon. Not anytime soon. 3.3 billion right now. Spell TBL. More lobby. Is Popsicle Finance coming to Avalanche? Possibly. Possibly. Well, flipping, is there any risk that as L2 grow in popularity for a while at least, we will be completely priced out of Ethereum? Here's the deal. I know folks still talk about like being angry at gas prices, but there's a reason gas prices are this high. 329 with a priority fee of 27. Because the people using the network don't give a shit about $300, $400, $500 transaction fees. Process that, guys. These gas fees are this high because the people running the transactions don't care about $300, $400, $500 transaction fees. So it's not a feature. It's not a bug. It's a feature. It's the same reason you go into a Gucci store and a bag is $1,000, or you go into a Chanel store and a bag is $10,000. It prices people out. It creates exclusivity. Now, it's not necessarily a good thing nor a bad thing. It just is what it is. So these high gas fees create exclusivity. It turns Ethereum L1 into the Fifth Avenue of DeFi, of which there's plenty of alternatives. You got Binance Smart Chain, good old Canal Street. You got pick any of the other ones. You got Polygon. What is it, like the Village? What is uh, maybe Avalanche is Broadway? Midtown. Maybe Phantom is like Upper East Side. I don't know. So pick some sort of New York analogy, because there it is. That's it. You got just different platforms, different tech, different gas prices, different demographics. And that's the nature of all things, all technology and all business, and all of society gets broken down accordingly. Red Rum, thanks, Noah. I mean, my small spell position is coming from farming on Abracadabra. Fortunately, I didn't bought them, so you think it's better to let them sit. Yeah, I know. I digress when I was answering your question. I'm sorry. But yeah, if you're going to spend like $50, $100 in gas fees to do something on Ethereum L1, the position probably should be worth more than a couple $100. So that's just an obvious one, my friend. Don't waste the money on gas just to stake a couple of thousand. Spell. Figure out how to let it accumulate. Grow the position, preferably by something that's sustainable, like staking and yield farming. If you have 10 grand in stablecoins, you'll have them in 5 years, and they'll be producing yield the whole time. And the best part of the DeFi space is these novel primitives that I talked about in the introduction, because the yield on stablecoins are often asymmetrically appreciating novel primitives. You're able to grow and accumulate wealth accordingly. James, thoughts on tokamak protocol? I think they'll facilitate some growth, some significant growth potentially on Frax, which would be very nice to see. You need multiple effective solutions from a stablecoin perspective. You need pairs, and obviously Abra and Daniel and folks have chosen UST, which is ridiculously awesome. So there's a win there. And UST coming from the Cosmos side of the world, that's a big deal. But it's only two, and that's great, and that's okay. And I think there's room for others. I, I who knows what Andre's up to with fixed Forex. And there's others other than just Frax. But I think if it was 1, 2, and 3, I would say it's clearly MIM that's out in the forefront of digital stables. UST is probably second most hot with regard to reputation and technological reach. And then Frax, it's a big deal. It's not small potatoes. So, you know, food for thought, food for thought. So Tokamak could potentially bring a lot of value to Frax. Frax ripped a lot over the last couple of days. 25% over the last 24 hours. Not bad. Not bad at all. Paul, with S-Spell, how do I check my spell distribution? You try and remove it. So it's not so easy to check your spell distribution. So this is all very much bootstrapping. I would not be allocating to an S-Spell position trying to generate a salary or a revenue stream. This thing just got off the ground. This is like just launching. If you want an income stream where you clearly see how much money you're making, that's like Curve, CVX, CRV. You could get away with it a little bit from LP positions to see how much you're generating on a weekly basis, but I would say this is very much not a revenue component of a portfolio. This is a speculative growth component. This is, like Legacy Finance talks about growth stocks versus value stocks. This is such a growth asset in the crypto space, whereas CVX CRV, albeit it's probably going to asymmetrically appreciate like a damn rocket ship. That's the value stock. You know, let's take a look. I don't think this is running 10x in the short term. And this is so annoying. It's barely above the TWAP. I don't have the SMAs enabled. Yeah, 50 SMA. Nope, nope. What is green? I think that's the 10. Yeah, that's the 10 SMA. So it's right in the 10 SMA as well as the TWAP. It could be another 40 days if it goes horizontal from here before it pushes up against historic resistance. But I see a couple 100% out of this asset. And it's only run about 10x from about 30 cents to where it is. So this asset's only up 1,000 from its all-time low. Whereas Spell obviously ripped multiples, many more multiples. So point of that was, I guess, CRV and the derivative CVX CRV are really like value assets rather than growth. I wouldn't expect a big asymmetric appreciation, albeit if the banks pick it up, that's another story. But this is the revenue producer. This is the revenue machine. Anyway, we've talked about that. We've talked about that before. Sheldon finally made a live broadcast. Always a pleasure. Lighthouse. Same for you, my friend. Welcome. Dan, I also believe that the increase of NFT activity contributes to higher gas fees on Ethereum. Most certainly 110%. Joe, hey man, have you researched Moon River Network, MOBR? Daniel says he's bullish on KSM and Moon River. Yes, I have looked into them. Doesn't mean much with regard to me actually taking a course of action or not. Just because something looks cool doesn't mean you have to do anything. It's okay to miss out on opportunities. What's the opposite of missing out on an opportunity? Fear of missing out on an opportunity. The last thing I'm going to do is fear anything. I'm in complete control of the portfolio. I have no fear of anything. Fear of missing out is not anywhere on the radar. Filippo, yeah, my concern is that if we need to take out capital from Ethereum when others are trying to do so, we won't be able to, even if we have a few $100,000. Why not? Why? Of course you can. All you have to do is swap the GUSD, send it over to Gemini, you got cash. I mean, literally, I got 2 checks pending from a bank account in the last week and a half, and they don't even show in the account. I don't trust these banks. They'll take that check. They'll say it's not good. They'll confiscate it and say it was fraud. And it'll take a month for me to get some traction with these banks. I have much less trust over banks than I do over the crypto space. And I have no control over anything in the banks. And the funny thing is, legacy finance will say you have no control, you have no recourse if shit happens in this world. Neither do you in the banking system. Where the banking system? What a joke. You end up waiting online for 4 hours just to talk to someone. Joe, also, am I too late to buy Spell? Should I wait for a dip? I don't have a capacity to answer those questions, my friend. Um, you can look at the chart, and this is a heck of a base. This is a nice price point. I mean, if you could get down here, 1.3 cents. But if you want a deal, you probably want to hope for a correction down to 0.003. You know, the interesting thing is people will see this price point and they'll see it break down to like the 100 SMA, 0.3 cents, 0.4 cents, right there, 0.39 cents. And you'll have fear that it's going to keep going down. But that's actually when you want to buy. You want to buy the fear. Right now, there's uncertainty whether you're buying fear or going to sell the greed. But this is, if the narrative is not broken, and let's say the markets crash, and Abracadabra has 4 billion TVL, maybe 4.5 or 5 billion TVL. That means the narrative is good. Maybe it handled all liquidations perfectly. More confirmation that the narrative is good. That's when you buy on that big dip down to 0.3. But bear in mind that big dip from where we are down to 100 SMA region is 85% correction to the downside. So when you say, are you too late? If you buy now, you could get a significant amount more spell if there's a significant correction. That correction may never come. This price action may continue to go up, in which case this will be a new price action region of congestion, establishing support, continuation, and upward trajectory. Um, how are you taking out your CVX and CRV rewards? I'm not. I have a job, so I don't need to take out any of these rewards. I got over 2K and I can't really touch them without paying a third of that on gas fees. Well, wait for 10K or wait even longer. Wait for 20K. And then you could claim and you take your, your US, your three curve, and then you could extract dollars. And maybe if you want to compound the curve and CVX, you can do that. Or maybe you want to sell the CVX and the curve. Maybe you want the whole 20 chip and you want to extract it to a bank account. So if it's too expensive for gas fees to claim $2,000, wait for it to be 20 grand. It's inevitable. It's just time. Just got to wait time. It's the hardest thing to be able to sit on your hands in the crypto space. Dan, are you seeing any stables, sending any stables to the MIM UST pool? No, but I did apply my CVX voting power to Votium, so I got some nice spell bribes. Paul, Daniel just tweeted questions. Would spell holders rather get MIM as revenue? Oh, yeah. Oh, hell yeah, I would. Or maybe not. I don't know. That's a very complicated question because you kind of want a paycheck. So the MIM would provide optionality. Do you or do you not want to compound your position? By them automatically purchasing S spell from the open market and compounding it into S spell. They're taking the optionality out of the equation. So it's a good question. I don't have a good answer. I'll let the community decide. Critical mass. Joe, you're welcome. A pleasure. 61 people in the stream, 20 likes. We can do a little bit better. Thursday, October 21st, 12:59 p.m. As always, thank everyone for joining. Tell everyone to subscribe. After party on Discord and AskVid has been hot. I got caught up this morning. I got one little question left, but there's a lot of questions up here. So let me pop this in the stream for you guys. But it's also on my Twitter profile. Ask any questions. I'm happy to help on anything that I haven't touched on lately. So I'll catch you next time. I'll see you tomorrow. One more day. Tomorrow's Friday. You have a good one. See you then. Peace.